video. And where is my blog? Hi, Hopi G. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. I'm getting set up on Facebook because I stream this from both Facebook and Instagram. Not sure if you knew that. Wednesday. Word of the day Wednesday. How is your day going? Wednesdays. Alrighty. I am ready. So, thank you guys for tuning in to Word of the Day Wednesdays. I am author Nicole D. Miller. This is my book, Stories for the Urban Soul, a compilation of short stories, novellas, and poetry dealing with everyday life issues, from social injustices to heartbreak to friendship. What did you say? Trying to channel my inner Nicole. Yes, writing is fun and joyful, but it requires time and quiet. So yeah, so you guys know I've been doing Word of the Day Wednesdays for a whole year now. I think I started this last September, every Wednesday. And I literally have not missed a Wednesday until last week. I feel like such a slacker, but it was not on purpose, you guys. I just had too much going on and it just didn't happen. So what I decided was that I am going to combine... Hey, Valencia. I'm going to combine last week's Word of the Day Wednesdays with this week's. So last week, I released a blog post called Being Known. And if you guys haven't read it yet, check it out at NicoleDMiller.com. But Being Known, I shared about an encounter I had with a young woman at Bowling Green. I'm thinking about my alma mater. At Bowling Green. And she just shared about how she came to faith because it was the first time she actually felt known by God. Like before that spiritual experience, she kind of always wore a mask. She never felt like she could be her full, authentic self, her true self. And I've heard other people share similar stories. I've heard them say they couldn't be all of themselves with anyone. So for her, that was the open door to her spirituality. And I talk about that in the blog because I know a lot of people can relate to that. But I personally don't relate to that. So what I do relate to is just this desire to always be empathized with and to always be understood. And I'm outside, you guys, in my backyard. So if it gets loud, like, bear with me. But it's so nice out that I wanted to do it out here. So, but I always feel like I want to feel understood. I want to be empathized with. And as I get older and mature, I realize it's this desire because that's how I give love. That's what I offer to people. And a lot of times we want to receive in the way that we give. We just naturally do. So because I function that way, I always want that. But that's not realistic, right? Because everyone drops the ball. Even someone who people would label me as an empath, or I say an intercessor, even someone like me, I drop the ball sometimes. I don't always empathize. So my encouragement in that particular blog post is, of course, to look to the one who always empathizes, who knows you through and through, and just to kind of remind us that we cannot find all of our needs met in a human being. I know. It's like the worst news in the world. I literally just got done binge watching, what is that movie with the vampires? Twilight. Just got done binging it. And I realized, wow, man, this is such a great storyline. And I think people really grasped it or like ran to it and fell in love with it because of the love story. Like these two young people who are just like enthralled with each other. And I've been there, okay? So I know. And so it just makes it feel like it's just this desperate, needy love. Like, if you go, I go. Like, I won't make it without you. And I've been there, so I already get it. But I realized, like, people really gravitated, that's the word I was thinking about, gravitated towards the storyline because they desire that. Everyone desires this satiating, all-encompassing, type of experience. But I don't believe that we are called to have that in another human being. I do believe that we are called to love deeply, and I'm not married, but I know when you are married, you become one with that person. So that's a whole nother level of oneness. But what I feel like I've learned in my journey is that experience really is from the creator of all things. It really is from the Father. Like, I think that we look for it in another person and then we get disappointed and we're brokenhearted because they can't meet all of our needs, right? And so I'm blessed that I have a lot of friends, but I realize none of my friends can meet all of my needs, and that's why I'm blessed to have different people in my life who give me different things and vice versa. So if you are intrigued by this topic, check out the blog post at NicoleDMiller.com. Moving on, our second Word of the Day Wednesdays is the last blog that I just published this week, called Jesus Was an Influencer. And so in this blog post, I share my own calling to having a platform, how I've wrestled with that, because I really didn't like the term influencer. I didn't like the selfishness that it seemed to evoke in our culture. My view of someone who was an influencer was someone that was about themselves and about this platform that, they were making money on, and it was just all about self. And so a lot of you guys know I published my first book back in 2014, How to Overcome Heartbreak, Recovering from Misguided Love. And when I published that book, I really struggled with marketing. I struggled with, should I really put myself out there? Should I really, move forward in this? Because I don't want this to be about me. In this particular blog, I share a lot of key scriptures, and one of them just talks about, not being about selfish ambition. So what I think I didn't realize back then was that God could do an inner work inside of you, right? Like, he could humble you so much in the journey that by the time you hit these stages and platforms and visibility, like, he gonna get his glory. It is not about you. And so I feel like that's been the journey. It's like, okay, you done went through so much, you humbled so much that you're gonna give God the glory. But I didn't know that back then. But also just struggling with that experience of being small or feeling small. And I hope you can relate to all of these things. I've had to really encourage myself in the daily. I know people can see the highlights and they can see the open doors and they can see the movement. And I see those things too. However, it really is a daily wrestling to get to where you're called to be, but having to go through where you are right now. And so that's what I talk about in that blog post, is even Jesus started with 12. And now the gospel has reached the ends of the earth. So we have to start somewhere for there to be growth, So if you need some encouragement with your purpose, seeing that visibility, seeing that growth, and even just that wrestling with being an influencer, quote unquote, in our culture, my encouragement is that we are all called to be influencers as disciples, as people who believe in Christ. We should be influencers because we should be influencing our culture and our spheres of influence in whatever role we're given in this earth. So that's the encouragement there. So thank you guys so much for your support. I know I released my newsletter recently. If you haven't checked that out, please do. I've had several events. I had the self-publishing roundtable, which was at the library in Lyndhurst, and that went really well. And then we had Author Alley at Loganberry Books, and I really enjoyed myself. I had such a great experience there this weekend. It was hot, though. It was like 90 degrees. We were out there for 5 hours. Whew, it was serious, but we made it. And then I have an event this weekend, the Mid-Ohio Indie Author Expo. So if you are in the Cleveland area, this event is actually going to be in Grove City, which is on the way to Columbus or near Columbus. So if you're in that area, come through. It's going to be books on books on books, authors galore. So bookworm heaven, reader's heaven. And I'll be there. And so then we have our Mic'd Up. Mic'd Up is coming back. So we did our first Mic'd Up last month. My co-host Alicia Ellis, who's also my client with Indian Publishing. You guys know I have a publishing house. And check out her book Complete. So we did our first open mic featuring authors at 4 Bistro and Wine. And this was last month. So this month we're going to be at Courtyard on Coventry. If you're a writer, if you're an author, if you're a poet, if you're a lyricist, if you're a word warrior, come through. We definitely want you to spit and share your piece. We're creating a space for those of us in Cleveland who love literary fiction, nonfiction projects, whatever you got going on. It's a safe space to share. So check out my link tree at HTOHB on Instagram, on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/HTOHB, or you can go to my website, NicoleDMiller.com, for all of the deets. And I think those are all of the events so far, but definitely stay tuned. If you have not already, sign up for my newsletter. That way you can be included in all of my events, new book projects. I have a couple of interviews coming up. I have some features that I'm in with my writing. So there's always things happening, you guys. So I'm going to let you go because I have an event tonight to attend, and I'll keep you posted on that. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support, and I will catch you on the next Word of the Day Wednesdays.